Coming to you live from old timey Mississippi, it's the 10 Point Podcast, you hear? My name is Bruce, and you will find fortune, though it will not be the fortune you seek. First, you must record a long and difficult podcast, a podcast fraught with peril. You shall speak things wonderful to tell. You shall speak of highs and lows, and oh so many statistics. I cannot tell how long this podcast shall be, but fear not, the trigger warning in your path, for fate has vouchsafed your reward. Along with me on my journey today.
Bravo, Ivy, that was well done.
Thank you.
I don't know if that was an offensive accent or not.
It's what they speak like in old timey Mississippi.
I see.
I said, boy. Along with me on my journey today. First, well, I guess hard times flush the chump. It's Chris.
I have no name. This has worked twice in the 2 weeks now.
And secondly, he's a soft-headed sumbitch. It's Andy.
Yep. Take that.
Oh, every time that the guy said sumbitch, it just made me giggle. So, we are the 10 Point Podcast. You can hear us wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can hear us on YouTube as well. YouTube.com, whatever you want to call it. 10 Point Podcast over there. 10 Point Podcast on all your podcast apps. That's all letters, not numbers. And you can find us at 10pointpodcast.com. Getting heavy traffic through there in the new movie season, so head on over there, 10pointpodcast.com. More than just the podcast movie on there, all other movies, I should say, are on there as well. And you can contact us on our social channels, which is Facebook and Twitter, 10 Point Podcast on those. Again, starting with a T, not with a number. We want to hear from you in 2 picks time, not next pick, but the one after, is a listener/viewer pick. So if you want to get
the wheel of doom.
The Wheel of Doom, which again, that might be the name of it. That might be what we're calling it. The Wheel of Doom, the Wheel of Bad Movies. I don't know, whatever it's going to be. Yes, your selection could be added to that. So let us know on all the places I've just listed what you do want to see. Speaking of things we want to see, what have we watched in the last week? I had a brief chat with Andy beforehand, so I'm going to start with you, Chris. What have you watched beforehand?
Well, it's been a dry week for me. I had a Peter Kay marathon. So I watched both series of the Phoenix Nights and the Max and Paddy Road to Nowhere. Apart from the Oh Brother Where Art Thou, it's been a quiet week. Although I did see the trailer for that new James McAvoy film, and I think that's a fucking great idea. Let's see how good actors really are when you don't give them a script.
Oh yeah,
what's happening, isn't it? Yeah. So, like, it kind of stops becoming acting at that point, though, doesn't it? If he doesn't, like, he's just
totally the film role I could do. Keep me on set with the Avengers, let's see what happens.
Just walk the law, you get attacked. Fuck this, I'm done. Yeah, yourself shit.
It was like that dream I once told Bruce about Hawkeye and me.
Oh, yeah. For James McAvoy, I'm assuming he's the lead character in it, so I'm not sure how he's going to carry a movie where he doesn't know what's going to happen. It's going to be intriguing. So but yes.
Apart from that, this will be a bit of a slow week for me.
Not much in the way of movies. Well, I know that me and Andy both made it out to the cinema this week to see some new ones, but I'll lead off with what I did, because preparing myself for Shang-Chi, which was the film I went to go see this week, I learned that The Abomination was going to be in it, and I thought, I've not watched The Incredible Hulk, the film that The Abomination, Tim Roth, first was shown in for the MCU. I thought, I'll watch The Incredible Hulk.
You've never seen it?
Oh, sorry, I've not watched it since the first time I watched
it. Okay.
I think I even missed it before The Avengers, so that was my first watching of Hulk, and I went back and watched it again. I've only watched it once. I went back and watched it again, and it's pretty average. And I think it is comfortably the worst Marvel film. I think.
Shut your mouth! How dare you?
I think it's the worst one. The fact it's not on Disney Plus as well, which is really annoying. I thought, all the MCU's on there, but it wasn't even their movie, as it were. But I thought, right, I'll watch another one. I thought, yes, it's the 10 Rings. That was all in Iron Man 3. I'll watch Iron Man 3 to get my 10 ring knowledge. And I love Ben Kingsley in that. He's hilarious. I watched Iron Man 3, and I'm pretty sure that's the second worst Marvel movie that there is. I was like, I thought it was pretty poor anyway, but it sunk in this watch. So I think the last 20 minutes I just couldn't even bear watching. So I'd watched two pretty terrible Marvel movies, and I thought, right, here we go. I'll go and watch the Shang-Chi, which I know nothing about at all. Well, literally what I mentioned to you, that's what I knew this film was about. It was a kind of Chinese superhero. And I thought Shang-Chi was amazing, and I know Andy saw it as well. So, Andy, I thought it was really good. What do you think of Shang-Chi?
It's in my top 3 Marvel films.
Wow, my goodness. It's high up in mine. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say top 3.
Well, standalone, what I'm saying, so I've got Iron Man as number 1. Like, that's the be-all, end-all. Yeah, first one. Then Guardians, and then I'd say Shang-Chi is up there.
Really? Because like, personally, I love The Winter Soldier and Ragnarok. They're my top 2.
Yeah.
Like, even out with Avengers, like include all the Avengers movies below that. I think they're my top 2. But yeah,
Ragnarok's 4. Shang-Chi, I would say, just pushes it.
Oh, okay.
But then I've still got Love and Thunder coming out. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just I don't think if I watched it again, it'd definitely drop below Thor.
Yeah, as it does. But I was surprised. Like the high points for me were the fighting, the actual martial arts fights were really good. Anytime it went to CGI, there was one bit. There's like a car chase in it. That's not a spoiler. There's a car chase in it, and the camera. I was watching on a massive screen when I was. The camera felt like so zoomed in, and everything was so CGI. I couldn't actually tell what was happening on the screen at this point, and I'm like, I don't know, this is just a blur of just pixels going on. But yeah, every time it was just someone fighting someone or a bunch of people fighting a bunch of people.
I think it was the Daredevil choreography team, like from the Daredevil TV series that helped, and you could tell that straight off. It looks like it looks actually like real fighting.
Awesome in Daredevil.
It does look like real fighting. Despite where some of the fights were happening, there were some fantastical fight locations. But no, I give it a big recommendation. It sounds like Andy does as well. And you watched something else, didn't you, Andy? You saw another new film.
Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. that was a mistake. I was pish.
Instead of G.I. Joe universe, I kind of gave up after that first rebirth.
Yeah, there's still like all 3. There's 3 films now. My problem has been Mortal Kombat came out at the perfect time. Right, so bear with me here. Then Snake Eyes came out, and the storyline to Snake Eyes, and I mean down to the cage fighting at the very start, is Mortal Kombat. Then Shang-Chi's came out, and no spoiler alerts, but there's a very Sub-Zero Scorpion fight going on.
I felt exactly.
I'm just like,
I'm sure I've seen that in the trailer.
It's in the trailer. It's very much in the trailer, but if Mortal Kombat came out after these 2 films, Mortal Kombat would be shit.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat's trend setting right now.
I think actually, now you mentioned it, I forgot to actually compare the 2. I think I still like that new Mortal Kombat better. Like, I really enjoyed Shang-Chi, but something about that Mortal Kombat film just really landed with me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And
it's so good that everybody's copying it now.
The imagery. There's like what you say. There's one bit that's full on red versus blue, and I think it's in posters and trailers anyway. But yeah, it's like lifted from that new Mortal Kombat film.
No, Snake Eyes is Mortal Kombat, but just a shit version of it with no real anything going on. It's not awful. It's watchable.
We watched Kung Fu Into the Fist before this as well, so they're all just that to me now as well, which is I watched that one first. There's a lot, but there you go. I don't think anyone was too surprised that one's a thumbs up, one's a thumb down there. Snake Eye. I've never seen essentially a big film get as little publicity as Snake Eyes. Like I knew it was coming out, and that's all I'd seen.
Well, I mainly watched it because we'd just done in that film we watched. Now, Ready or Not.
That narrows it down.
Samara Weaving, is she in it?
Yeah, she's in it. Yeah. Pish.
Is Ready or Not better?
It was actually. I've seen something.
It's a surprise.
There we go. We better crack on for this week's podcast. So that's what we did in the last week. The point for the podcast this week, point number 1, is the year 2000's hillbilly musical crime adventure, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That's credited to John Turturro, described it as a hillbilly musical crime adventure. That's not me being redneck racist, whatever you want to call it. He called it that. Brought to us by Universal Pictures. Just add Howard the Duck to last week's list because they brought us all them films. Along with Touchstone Pictures, who did Starship Troopers, Gone in 60 Seconds, Reign of Fire, and The Prestige. Studio Canal, who also brought us Rock and Rolla. And Working Title Films, who did Fargo, obviously, and Grimsby, which is not 2 films you see put together very often, Fargo and Grimsby. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Based on the epic poem The Odyssey by Homer. So I was like, right, okay, I need to break down what this means. No, he would be the original Homer, as in he would not even have a surname, I think. So I was like, what's an epic poem? It's not like a describing word. It's like, oh my god, that was epic. It must mean something. The poem is 12,109 lines long, not words.
That's
lines.
A fucking poem.
That's epic.
Poem.
That's an essay.
Yes.
That's a script, isn't it?
Exactly. So I was like, how is it still a poem? And I was like, it doesn't rhyme. I checked up. Not even in Greek would it be a rhyming one. So to me, it's not a poem. My stance since I was in primary school was poems rhyme.
No, if it's not a dog, it's not a poem.
Exactly. But it would be written roughly 700 years BC. So when it was written, very few people would actually be able to read, and it'd be written in Greek, obviously, because Homer was a Greek chap. So it would be spoken. It would be like a kind of tale, huddle round the kind of campfire it was, and I'll tell you the tale. So therefore, it would be a poem because it's essentially a novel would not exist yet. So therefore, that's just what you would call this. Would be a writing that you would read out. So yeah, a very, very long epic poem. The poem itself, the Odyssey, is about a character called Odysseus, and that's how the title comes from that, and then hence how the word comes from that. So Odysseus, his 10-year struggle to return home after the Trojan War, battling mystical creatures and the wrath of the gods, while his wife and son deal with suitors, vying for her hand and the throne of Ithaca, where he is from originally.
Why didn't we watch that film?
It does exist. It does exist. The poem ends with Odysseus winning a contest to prove his identity, and then slaughters all the suitors and retakes his throne. So that is what this film actually is based on, and more of that coming. Yes, I think I saw there have been 3 films made based on the actual. Let's make this poem into a film. Yeah. Someone just took inspiration from it. Those who were inspired were the writer and directors, the Coen brothers, who we have covered before on Fargo. And
don't say the name, because I'm just going to drop the points down.
That's the trigger there for Andy. Who brought us other films such as Big Lebowski, which was the one in between Fargo. So they went Fargo, Big Lebowski, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which is their 1, 2, 3 of the late 90s and the year 2000. Then No Country for Old Men, A Serious Man, Inside Llewyn Davis, and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs are their big films they did since. Very famous filmmakers.
They're only films.
The film stars George Clooney, who we have never done on the podcast before. I'm thinking he's a big movie star, but I mean, look at why he's famous. He doesn't make that many movies. He makes films.
I went through IMDb. It was Nespresso.
Literally what? So this is what George Clooney, his list of things: ER in the early 90s, and then he transferred into films, doing From Dusk Till Dawn, Batman and Robin, and Out of Sight. And his role in Out of Sight got him cast in this film, as in the Coen brothers saw him in Out of Sight and offered him the script. He was the first option to be Everett, and he took it. He took it without reading it. He just said, "Yes, I want to do your film." Then after Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Ocean's Trilogy, Good Night and Good Luck, Michael Clayton, Burn After Reading, Up in the Air, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Ides of March, The Descendants, Gravity, and like Chris says, lots of Nespresso ads. 10. I would say 2 of every 3 things on his IMDb page is a Nespresso ad. But yeah, in a lot, but nothing that's too kind of jumps out as being why he's a big film star. He's just good, I guess. Batman and Robin. I think that's maybe the kind of the lowest.
His reputation.
The lowest
just rated nipples.
Mine goes full of a nipple suit. He's fine.
Co-starring with George Clooney, John Turturro from Do the Right Thing, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, The Big Lebowski, all before Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and since then, Mr. Deeds, the Transformers series, and a film called Fading Gigolo, which I've never heard of. Fading Gigolo, but it was one of what he's known for. Well, I've never heard of it. And of course, he was in The Jesus Rolls, his homemade sequel to The Big Lebowski that was awful, that I flagged off a couple of months ago. And our third man in the film, Tim Blake Nelson, who, according to those who were there, was the only person who was part of production on this film, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, who'd actually read the Odyssey, because he studied classics at university when he was there. Even the Coen brothers said they had never read the story of the Odyssey. They just made a film based on the films.
Another checkbox for why they're shit.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Fucking read their source material, the pricks.
This was the first biggest thing he was in, Tim Blake Nelson. So after Oh Brother Where Art Thou, he was in The Incredible Hulk, which I thought was funny when I found out that I discovered he was in it. And then Leaves of Grass, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and then to me now he was from the Watchmen television series from either last year or the year before. That was really good. He played a big character in that, Tim Blake Nelson.
Oh, he's in the the new Fantastic Four film. I forgot I watched half of that and got bored because it was shit.
I hadn't seen it and everyone said it's terrible, but yes, he is indeed in the new Fantastic film. There are your main 3 stars. On to the film itself. Made on a budget of $26 million. Its opening weekend in the US was $195,000 is all it made. Its opening weekend. However, budget at $26 million, its final US gross $45.5 million, worldwide $72 million. Because it had a weird release, it came out at one of the big film festivals in America, and then its second release, I think, was something like the Edinburgh Film Festival. And then its UK release was the 15th of September, year 2000, but its full US release wasn't until the 2nd of February 2001, like 5 months later, or whatever that is, maybe 6 months later. So I don't know why it opened like that, but that's how it's got such a small opening weekend. Either way, it was firmly in the 2001 awards season. It was nominated for 2 Oscars. Best Adapted Screenplay, where it lost to the film Traffic, and Best Cinematography, where it lost to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, another martial arts movie mentioned on the podcast this week.
Chinese are well represented this week.
Absolutely, yeah. Asian cinema.
We're cancelled in China now.
Brother, also 2001 MTV Movie Awards, 2 nominations. Nominated for Best On-Screen Team, The Soggy Bottom Boys. They lost to Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, and Lucy Liu in Charlie's Angels. They were deemed to be the better team. And also nominated for the Best Music Moment at the MTV Movie Awards, when the Soggy Bottom Boys sing Man of Constant Sorrow. They lost to Piper Perabo singing One Way or Another in Coyote Ugly.
What a film.
That film pops up quite a lot in this.
I remember saying how great Piper Perabo was in the Prestige episode way back, I don't know, like a year ago now, whenever we did the 3rd or 4th episode. But yes, they're the big ones. It did get 6 awards wins, though. George Clooney won the Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actor in a Comedy or Musical. It won 2 awards for cinematography, and I found arguing opinions on this next one. I think it won something in the region of 3 to 8 awards for its soundtrack. Including at least 2 Grammys, like not even like an awards, like actual the Grammys. It won 2 awards, including the Album of the Year 2001. Like, of all music, it beat Bob Dylan and all these other people who released albums. The Album of the Year at the Grammys was soundtrack to "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
There was only like 2 songs like they sang, unless they add in all the background ones in as well.
A lot of the background music is actual artists as well, like it's proper musicians. I'm assuming kind of southern country music people that recorded actual songs, but it has a huge soundtrack for the film. Again, it did massive numbers. Okay, on to the synopsis of the film, brought to us by Armin this week.
I like this guy.
Again, I read what he's written, so this is again the first time I just picked the longest one like I normally do. Loosely based on Homer's Odyssey, Brother Art Thou deals with the what does that say? Picaresque. What is picturesque or picaresque?
Yeah, picturesque.
It doesn't say picturesque. It's picaresque. Adventures. It doesn't seem especially picturesque. Anyway, adventures of Ulysses, Everett, Mcgill, and his companions Delmar and Pete in the 1930s Mississippi, which is spelled wrong. Sprung from a chain and trying to reach Everett's home to recover the buried loot of a bank heist, they are confronted by a series of strange characters. Among them, sirens, a cyclops, bank robber George Babyface Nelson, very annoyed by that nickname, a campaigning governor and his opponent, a KKK lynch mob, a blind prophet who warns the trio that the treasure you seek shall not be the treasure you find. And that is the end of the synopsis. I picked it. It fits my theme. I wanted to go somewhere in the middle because I did a really old one in Jaws. We'd done a really recent one in Ready or Not. And Howard the Duck was kind of 90s. So I thought, right, go that sort of era. So it fits my theme really well. And I felt like we need a kind of.
Since you've banged on about your theme, right? we need to get this out of the way. Right. It's going to set the tone for the rest of this podcast. I'm going to take a stab at the dark in here, right?
Right, okay.
Is your theme the KKK?
It's not. Were they in Jaws?
Not in Jaws, no. Yeah, the shark was a member.
What? Right, okay. So it's not your theme. Are you a member of the KKK? Because you're heavily picking slave films like old Southern country and people in the KKK films.
I'm not promoting the KKK. That's all. I can.
It seems like you're heavily promoting them and publicising them on this podcast. The same way as me and Chris went into the paedophile trap.
I completely forgot that scene was in this film as well. Like, I just see a lot of films that shows up, like that randomly coming across a Klan rally. But yeah, I've forgotten it happened in this film. I was not expecting it to happen. It did. So no, I did not pick it because of that. It was just a lucky or unlucky coincidence. Normally we talk about how we first saw it. I have no idea how I first saw this film. I don't know if it was a Channel 4 sort of 8 p.m. sort of viewing or something. I have no idea how I ever first saw this film. I don't know what order I watched Coen Brothers films in either, so I just randomly have picked it up along the way. Who has and hasn't seen it before, you guys?
I've seen half of this film.
You've seen half, and Chris had never seen it.
Never seen it.
So we've got one going into it blind, no pun intended. On to point number 2 on the podcast. Point number 2 is the high points. This is where we talk about the best bits and things of the film. Personally, the picks normally goes first, so I'll just lead off with my first one. The first high point I have is them falling off the train when they were chasing
That's mine as well.
You can kind of sort of see it coming. Like he's on, and the next one struggles on, and then there's Pete running at the back, following. I do love a good kind of slapstick moment like that.
That set me up. I thought this is it. This is gonna be a banger of a comedy.
Straight off, first scene. It was a good start. On you go.
I was gonna say, like, my first question, like, did George Clooney have like fake teeth or something? Because you always seem to like be playing with them or something.
Yeah, he does have a different face in this film, doesn't he? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe before or after he had something done, I don't know, but yeah, he does look different. I meant to say actually the actual opening of the whole film was the chain gang chopping the bricks or hitting the bricks, breaking the bricks of the road. It's a good start. I like it. But I found out in my research that they use an actual chain gang audio to do that bit. Like, so that's the sound of like a prison something or other, I guess, chain gang from the 1950s doing that, singing that song, and you cannot get it on like soundtracks like online, so your iTunes and your Spotify's, because they can't give the money to all the people who are in the song, so they don't actually own it as copyright. It's listed on the soundtracks, but they did track down one guy who they're able to find who was in it, and they went and paid him something like 20 grand or 25 grand for his part of singing the song that used in the film. But it's an actual chain gang singing the actual song at the beginning of the film that they put over the top. So they're my first 2 early high points. Chris, have you got an early high point?
It's not really a high point, but the spelling wasn't great. RUNNOFT.
My next line of my high points is RUNNOFT. I accidentally have picked up. Like this must be where I got it from, but I always thought when someone's run off. I do that all the time. As someone else picked up, but yeah, and then the fact that the wee boy the whole time understood what it meant, and he was also going to RUNNOFT.
My first thought after that, I was going to say, is the guy behind you, the blind station guy. I thought he was bloody hilarious. Just the way he speaks, like meow 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 meow. I fucking wet myself after that.
I think it was maybe like, I don't know, 5% too much. He was just a wee bit over the top. Especially when the guy comes to try and sign the Soggy Bottom Boys. Is like that's when he goes full overdrive with his accent. Yeah, the recording session was a good one for them, just to be straight off. We'll play one of the best songs ever in a film that's ever been recorded, and we'll win 1 million Grammys. Just walking in with Tommy, who after selling his soul to the devil. Yeah, a really good scene. And then like that might be what hooked me initially when I first saw the film, was actually this is a good song, and that I want to hear them play the song, and I want to do really well with. But yeah, the recording session was a good one, and then bumping into the guy outside as well was fun. Andy, any early high points from you? You've not mentioned anything.
I found a high point. John Goodman's eating food rules.
I've got that as well, actually. He's a man after my own heart.
Yeah, it's good rules to have.
I don't like talking when I'm having a meal. That's why I sit there, I'm quiet, I finish my meal, then I'll talk.
Some good rules. You enjoy your food first.
It's time for
He's a man that knows stuff.
He was an absolute monster, though. Like, him just picking up the frog, squishing it, and just lobbing it at a tree.
The way it bounces off the tree. Because obviously at that point you still think there's a chance that's Pete. Like, we don't know for certain that it's not Pete. I like the way he's just still having the conversation, but he's beginning to kind of start insinuating that he's going to start fighting, and then he breaks the club off, and then just keeps on talking, and then he just smashes poor what's his name in the face?
Delbar.
Yes, in the face. And then George Clooney still doesn't know what's going on. Like, somehow doesn't register the fact that his pal has just been absolutely knocked out next to him. But yeah, a very good scene. I think John Goodman just comes into the film hot. Like, he's straight off the first scene he comes in is like amazing. He's like he is on for like the 2 scenes that's there, and that's one of the high points I've got is the whole restaurant scene for him coming in, being on his game, and then being like a total. You can tell he's a con man immediately. And as he leaves, it pans over to Pappy and his team sitting at the table next door, and his rage of just being annoyed it's not working, and he throws his hat and he's like, "Give me my hat back," and he just throws it straight back at him again, and all that. The anger in that scene, it was hilarious. I loved the restaurant scene.
I thought it was funny just as soon as like the guy's like flicked the money, his ear just pricked up. He's like, "Oh, I hear money."
Yeah, immediately tells you what kind of character he is.
Before that, my next high point is George Nelson's pure hatred for cows. Just like shitting a cow. It's like, no, coppers, you can wait. This cow's going to get it next.
Yeah, just like, I hate that. It just starts going on. Yeah, and again, of course, because that's one of our gimmicks on the 10 Point Podcast, we have to usually involving a car and a cow. Yes, of course.
I had to Google that because that looked realistic. That cow getting splattered.
Yeah, a trivia note on that one is that the Humane Society that puts no animals were harmed at the end of the film would not clear that scene until they were shown like the CGI bits and pieces that they used to build that scene because they believed it was a real cow, and then they would put, "Oh, no animals were harmed at the end of the film." Oh yeah, at first glance you're like, "Oh my god, it looks incredible." Even the one where they're shooting it looks pretty devastating. I'm not sure what order they come in here, but I'll put them together. The down to the river where everyone's singing going into the water, and then the sirens in the water as well. There's something about that kind of harmonized kind of ghostly singing, just even in the woods next to water and all that. I love that kind of the sound and the way that the singing feels. And then, but of course, when it comes to the siren, there's Pete in the car that's going, like you're like, what on earth is he? What has he seen? Because he's seen clocks something, and it's like, what on earth has he seen? I don't know. He must have amazing eyesight to have known what was going on over there. But just that reaction, and then of course the singing, and then when they come to him, and then just the way that Delmar's face gets squished really made me laugh as well.
I thought it was funny when they're having this full-blown conversation about a gopher as the people are walking down. It's like, no, me and Pete have had a gopher. This one was for you. I found a whole nest of gophers.
Yeah. So many little bits like that. Was like other parts of like the film are still going on when the main bit is happening in the same scene as well. It's incredible. Any other high points jumped out at you, Andy?
Nah.
One other thing I want to mention for the car chase with the cows is the stunt that the car does when it comes over the bridge. Is insane. Like the car just goes off the top of the screen and it comes back down again. I've got a couple more.
Oh, I like the KKK.
Right, okay.
Is there something you want to admit to, Andrew?
Yeah.
Just every time they turn up, they're funny.
They are.
They seem like a good group. Other than killing black folks, they seem like a pretty fun gang to be in.
They do. They're always a comedy figure, aren't they? Whenever
they are. Every film.
This group weren't as good as the ones from Django, though.
Oh, yeah.
No, Django's were stupider.
Well, you say that these were better because a lot was a complete bunch of morons. But yeah, around that time, my next high point is the fact that Pappy has the development that he's the good candidate, like he's the good guy that you want to vote for. Because the first half of the film, you think this guy's a total dick that we've the way he's talking, and then you meet, oh, this guy standing up for a little man, and it's, oh my god, wait, no, he's actually the bad guy. I like that idea because Pappy the whole way through. I think I've got a note on him that so the Pappy, his first name, the Pappy's a nickname, is Menelaus or something like that. But when they announced him at the beginning, Menelaus. In the Odyssey, he is Odysseus' brother in arms. So those who know the thing will hear that name and think, he's going to be on Odysseus' good side.
I guarantee not one person in the world watched that film and went, I got that.
There you go. That might be true. But upon my research, I found out that that was.
Chris is watching this at the cinema going, fuck, I know what he is.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was part of fucking Odyssey.
And I've only really got one more high point after that, Chris. So have you got any others?
Everett's dance moves, where he's on the stage with his shoulders just going up like that. That was funny.
And then the legs start going underneath them, and then the guys in the background doing their ones as well.
That's how I'm dancing from now on. That's just wait for it. I'm just gonna be walking about going like that.
Blood rave.
Blood rave dancing like that. Fucking
hell. My last high point is Everett's wife's flawless argument technique. I've counted to 3. It's dealt with.
Is it familiar to you, or are you going to use it against?
Well, Nicola watched the film and she said she got bored through it, so I don't know if she paid attention to that point. So I might try it on her. See if I come with arguments with it.
Yeah, she was not for turning. If she made her mind up, she was done. And yeah, I wasn't sure. I feel like the whole way through, when it gets to the end, I'm like, that's what you've been fighting for this whole time, George. It's like, oh my god. The last high point I've got is what I've called the epilogue, but the bit where they're floating in the valley is really. I enjoyed that because another one. If you've been paying attention, Andy, I don't know if you were this time. When they throw the newspaper into the fire and it burns away, and you can read that the Soggy Bottom Boys are becoming a star. Before the front page burns away, it says like local government agrees to flooding of valley, and that's about half an hour into the film. So if you had noticed that, it would be a shock to you to find out that the valley flooded at the end. And also it makes sense that the bad guy.
They were talking about
that at the start.
Yeah,
he talked about it. Yeah. He said he had to get there in 3 days. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is all the way through. So to be a blessing from God, it's not completely out of nowhere. The whole thing's been set up that they're going to flood the valley. And then obviously the bad guys have no radio, so they don't know that the flooding is happening. No one can radio to say the water's coming, so that's why they're standing there. And then again, the cow on the roof, and that is which has been foreshadowed by the prophet. I like things being tied up in a nice little bow at the end, like that was. Like here's everything that was mentioned beforehand. It's all sorted in the end. Is that us for high points then?
It's for me. Right, Andrew, take it away.
Points. Other mentions of how it is the Odyssey. Everett's name is Ulysses, which is the Latin translation of Odysseus. So he actually is our main guy. His wife is Penny, and his wife is Penelope in the poem and all that. The blind prophet. There's a blind prophet in that. I've mentioned him. The opposing governor guy who's from the KKK. His first name is Homer. That's the guy who wrote the play. John Goodman is clearly a Cyclops, which is in the play. I'm gonna
let the listeners into a fun fact here. The more you talk about the play, the more points I'm taking off mentally.
I also mean the poem, not the play.
Whatever.
I did say play. In the poem, the crew of good guys tie themselves to the underside of sheep to escape the Cyclops, which someone had compared.
That would be good if they did that in this time.
That dressing up in white cloaks to escape the Cyclops. I was like, oh, if you're going to compare that. The sirens are self-explanatory as well, but the best thing about them is that in the Odyssey, the character Circe, I don't. It's not spelt the same as Game of Thrones. She does something similar and attracts the crew, and then turns them into pigs. In this film, they turn Pete into the police. If you want to say turn them into pigs, they turn Pete into pigs.
I'll give you that. That was clever.
And in the poem, Odysseus, child that he had never met, just like Everett does in the film. So yeah, all the way through the bits and pieces, pretty much everything that happens in the film is taken from the poem. Andy, it is point 3 on the podcast. It is the low points. What have you got for us?
Right. Since I'm not allowed to say the word for YouTube reasons, the Coen brothers are a bunch of cunts and should stop making films. Because fuck me, what a like. It's honest to God, this could be the worst start to a film I've ever seen in my life. And this film's got all the points on it I actually love. I love the music. I'll give it that. But they still even fuck the music up by not actually playing the whole fucking songs. They keep giving you snippets. That just annoys me. Don't call yourself a musical.
So you want like 3 and 5 minutes of a song at a time?
Aye.
Okay.
It would have made the film a lot better.
My first low point is George Clooney's dubbed singing voice. You can tell straight away it wasn't him.
Clearly
that's
not.
Howard the Duck is one up, Jez. Yeah, my boy watched again.
But no, like I love like Southern music. I love all this type of music. It's brilliant, but you never once get to hear the whole fucking songs, and it's just like I'm not going to go and buy your album. Fuck you.
You don't watch films to listen to the entire song, though.
I watch a musical to listen to the songs. I don't go into watching the Blues Brothers to get half a fucking song. I watch it for the songs. And then you start giving me pieces of stuff like, so I didn't know all about this whole like Greek shit and all that. But you start giving me like, I'm picking up bits myself, and I'm like, ooh, look at a crossroads demon. I don't get to see a crossroads demon. That annoys me.
Well, the devil's still in it though. Like he's still there.
I'm not. No.
Is he though?
I've got a later on as a question, but yeah, the guy describes him, and he's standing there. That's what the devil looks like in this film.
Yeah, but still, I want to know more about it. Just nope. They keep giving me bits, and that's why the Coen brothers are cunts.
So you want them to tell you the entire film rather than you have to kind of follow along? Is that what it is?
No, I like following along. They just try to be too smart for their own fucking good, and they ruin every film. Fargo's got elements of genius, and then just ruin it. Big Lebowski's the same. There's too much hidden meaning behind it. Just give me a film. I just want to see a man go and find a fucking rug. Don't overly complicate the situation.
My first low point is in the first 10 minutes of the film, there's two blind characters. I'm like, do we really need two blind?
That's just offensive.
What do I guess the blind?
The prophet on the thing is blind, and then the guy in the recording studio is blind as well.
Yeah, but why do you hate blind people?
I'm just saying it's quite strange. I don't hate blind people. I'm just saying.
I'm sure there's quite a lot of blind people. Why can't two be in a film in 10 minutes with each other?
I'm just thinking it's quite weird that two major scenes with two major characters, like 5 minutes apart in the film, are both a blind guy.
Always blind in films.
Yeah, but then the guy in the recording studio doesn't have to be blind.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe it was just partial sight.
Well, they were saying you're not black guys, are you? Yeah, no. Yes, we are. Like, so you can't see.
Yeah, he was all the way blind.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
But yeah, that was just my first low point. Was why? I don't know why they had to be.
Why not?
They didn't care about the race.
Bastard.
Any other low points?
It's not really a low point, but it's like, how much of a prick was Everett? Because like he goes, "Hi boys, follow me. I'll take you to all this money. Thanks for helping me escape. Actually, there's no money. I just want to go see my wife."
I've got that as a low point. The not being treasure twist is actually a low point because you kind of, by this point, it's kind of an old. I don't know. It comes up a lot in films when there's going to be treasure. Yeah. No, there isn't. And then even
rubs it in their face. He's lying there going, "What would you do with the money?" "Oh, I'd buy this and I'd do this." He goes, "Fuck you, you're not going to do anything with it."
Exactly. All the time he knows there's none actually. Yeah.
I mean, I'll let into secret. The first half of this film is what I'd seen before, and then I turned it off because this was shit.
I did between the lines.
and then Logan Lucky. That's a better film. Just watch that. It's got a proper treasure heist in that one.
Ah, yeah.
I was going to ask you that. You were about what's better than this film. Film. So what would be the better version of this?
Yeah,
Logan Lucky.
What was better than Logan Lucky though? There must have been more than that because every episode you tell us the better version of the film you just watched. So
no, there is a better version.
Is Logan Lucky the best?
Logan Lucky's the best Southern treasure heist film currently on my list.
It's the best film we've ever done by looking at the scoring anyway.
Exactly.
It is unbeatable from that point.
You never know, this could be the one.
It could be. My next low point is every second scene is just people sitting around a campfire. It just seems to go, a little bit happens around a campfire. A little bit happens around a campfire. It's like, can we just have done a bunch and then done one campfire scene or done one at the beginning and one at the end? It's like, why do we have to know that these days are passing like this? It seems
because he spunked all the budget burning the barn in the first scene, the first big scene.
Okay.
If I have to do an individual low point rather than the whole film, that barn scene started off okay. And then ended really badly with a really bad car and the miniguns going off in the car. It just looked so shit.
It was kind of a strange one, really, wasn't it? Yeah.
Because also that doesn't happen with ammo. Just a fun fact.
There you go. And fact from Andy.
That's it. Done.
I'll let you go, Bruce. I've
only got one left.
Oh right, mine's is George Nelson. Apart from his hatred for cows, he was just shit. Like. It takes a special kind of dumbass to walk into a bank robbery and go, "I'm called George Nelson. Bang, bang, bang. Give me the money."
But he almost made it into my high points because I love the random character.
I think he didn't. I don't think it was the money he wanted. By all accounts, it didn't look like he wanted money. He just wanted to be famous. So I think that's all he wanted to be was, I am the famous bank robber George Nelson, robbing banks, and then that's the money just flying out the car. It's not about the fame. It's about people knowing who he was, which is why he was kind of happy towards the end. My final low point that I've got is the Homer Stokes, the guy who's a racist, admitting that he's in the Klan at a political fundraiser. It's like normal people. Like there's normal people there who want him to become governor, and he's like, his idea of we need to stop these guys at my Ku Klux Klan rally, they stopped me killing a black guy. And I'm like, there's in no world does it make sense that he would do that there. Like, he would just do anything else to protect his public identity to these people he wants to vote for him. So I thought that was a bad way to get the villain.
Well, while we're on low points, let's bring back up the KKK for a second, just so I can try and get my head around the KKK.
All right, okay.
Right. That was quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, I know they all wear hoods and all that, but surely, like, he took his hood off, and everyone's like, "All right, it's him." Sure, there was other people in the crowd. From they can't be traveling in miles to go to a Klan rally in a fucking forest.
That's what. There was so many there that I thought, they mentioned it's Mississippi, but they never really mentioned town names, to the best I can recall. So maybe it's the Mississippi Klan meeting. So maybe everyone from all around.
Right.
Maybe.
Getting everybody from Glasgow just meeting up for the Klan rally. You're going to meet somebody, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I think the whole point is you're not to take your hood off. That guy was just an idiot. I went, "Who's that?" And
but they always do it.
Yeah. But again, in film, you kind of have to know who it is in order to develop the story, I guess. Which is, I guess, in real life, if it still exists, they don't do that. I don't know.
I reckon somebody's theme is going to be the KKK. They're going to keep coming back up in these films.
I mean, I don't know if you want that in your Google search history. Ku Klux Klan films. That's my
name of it. I'll figure off the top of my head.
Yeah, that we've done. Is that us for low points?
Yeah. It's not really a low point, but the sirens, I don't understand why they took Pete. It might have been explained, but surely Del Mar was the lighter option.
They handed him in for the reward money, I think it was. So
I think they would have been reward money, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but how are the three women going to get them back? They probably took Pete and then came back to get the other two, and the other two had gone or something like that. They probably couldn't take it.
Maybe he had a bigger bobby.
Maybe. Or bigger reward, is what I was thinking. He might be.
Maybe.
Because he seemed like he was maybe the dangerous one of the three, I don't know. Is that your final one then?
That's it, yeah.
On to point 4 then, on to our stats, the statistics from the film. No swearing really of any kind. There was lots of racist language, like cracker here and all that sort of stuff, but no shits, no F-bombs. Explosions, it was just essentially the 3 that were the car blowing up is all I have in the way of explosions, unless you want to count the water hitting the shack as an explosion, but it doesn't really count. So there's a few of them. Deaths is a strange one though. Did Big Dangerous Dan get killed by the flaming cross landing on him? Because we never see him again. So he might be dead. When the valley floods, we see our 3 guys and Tommy floating, but we never see anybody else floating. So did all the police
swim back in them days?
Yeah, so they might be dead. So maybe we're looking at maybe something in the region of about half a dozen deaths, but nobody actually gets killed in the film. Lots of nooses, but no one ever actually gets killed by being hung. The 10-point podcast quotas. Was there a dead animal? Of course there was.
Yeah.
They ate a horse, they cooked a family of gophers, they shot at cows, one got hit by a car, and then Pete the Toad got squished and thrown against a tree.
Yeah, chicken as well at the start.
There you go, yeah. So, probably a high number of dead animals for us. None were goats, and there were several cows. Cows come up quite a lot, so I made sure to mention that. I don't think anyone defecated of any variety at any point in the film that I could notice. No paedophiles, and then... Did we have the devil? I think they pretty much.
Oh, he's definitely there.
I'll give it, yeah.
I think the devil was there as well. I tried to count a few other things for the film specifically. I tried to count brothers. This is, "Oh brother, where art thou?" Nobody was ever identified as being a brother in the entire film. There were sisters, but no.
There's a lot of brothers though.
I also counted. I thought in my mind they sang "Man of Constant Sorrow" a whole bunch in this film. I remember that song being big, and they're singing it. They don't sing it twice in the film. They actually stop and then carry on from where they left off in the big gig at the end. So 2 times, and then when George Clooney said it 4 times in the one scene, I was like,
yeah.
How often is he going to say we're in a tight spot?
That's what I've got. So he's going to say it's the whole through the film.
It was just the 4 times in that one scene that he said it, which makes it even more silly that in fact he did it 4 times in a row. And then did they say the thing? Did they say, "Oh brother, where art thou"?
No.
Nah.
They don't. I don't actually know where that comes into. That might be a line from the poem, but I did not research that much. Chris, did you have any other stats?
Just one other. Everett seemed obsessed with his hair, so I counted how many times he combed it, and it was 33 times.
My God!
Is that one scene where he's listening to videos going like that for ages and combing it forward and combing it back? That's where he got a whole number of them.
I'm liking this trend of picking up the really high number that I haven't gone. Chris. We must have some sort of mind control between us. And Andy, was there a most pornographic scene in this film?
Yes. The apple pie.
It did look good. It looked very good.
It's proper, like, dense, thick filling. I'm a fan of thick filling.
I still don't understand why this, I don't know, gimmick of people resting pies on shelves exists.
Something cool.
Yeah, but what, is it that much cooler there than it's on the countertop in the same room?
Yes, yeah, you get a breeze through the house. You don't know how to cook an apple pie?
I don't, but also, why does it need to cool down? Like, I don't know. Why does it need to be that quick?
It's like molten lava inside there.
Yeah, have you ever tried to eat a fresh apple pie out of the oven? You fucking burn your mouth.
Yeah, but also, it's like, I'm not thinking, I need to cool this down gently. Like, what? Oh, no, it didn't make sense. But yes, I agree, it did look tasty. I'm assuming it was apple pie. I don't know if it actually, it might have been a different kind of pie.
It was apple pie.
So, in my mind.
Tell.
Cool. On to the 10 Point Podcast quiz then, which could be a belter. Right? Andy is very negative, so Andy's on a streak though, but I'll still make you go second, Andy. I think that might be the...
what shenanigans?
I'm giving him the easier questions. You know what he's going to be like.
Yeah, my dummy ball.
I feel like Chris is paying attention to this one. So, Chris, you're first. First question. Who removes the chains from Everett, Del Mar, and Pete?
Pete's cousin.
I will give you for that, but if you remember, well done.
No, I want to say Vernon.
Washington Hogwop, or Wash, which is why you called him. But yes, he removed the chains. Andy, what brand of pomade does Everett favour?
Iron Brew.
Dapper Dan. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
He is a Dapper Dan man. He does not prefer Iron Brew. That was one of my easy questions, Andy, so you could be screwed. Second question for Chris. Officially, that's the important word, officially, how many soggy bottom boys are there?
2.
No, officially there are 6. Everett, Del Mar, Pete, Tommy, Mert, and Aloysius are the 6.
Fuck are the rest of them?
They're the ones when the guy's like, I'll give you $10, come through and sign this. Then George Clooney replies, well, Mert and Aloysius can't write, so it'll just have to be the 4 of us. So they make up so that each one of them gets paid $10, but then there's actually only 4 of them there, so they make more money out of it. So, incorrect answer. Andy, who is the Mississippi governor who is seeking re-election? Who is already governor and wants to be re-elected?
The Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Incorrect. It was Governor Pass the Biscuits Papio Daniel, apparently, and then Governor Menelaus Papio Daniel. But yeah, Pass the Biscuits is his nickname when he first was introduced. I don't know what that means. So still 1-0 to Chris after 2 questions. Chris, what shouldn't you call George Nelson?
Babyface.
Not call him Babyface. Correct answer. Andy.
I had her turn my TV up so loud to hear what she said.
Yeah, she was very much whispering. Andy, when they're in the movie theatre, what is Pete's message for the other 2?
Don't jack off.
That was indeed not his message. It was, do not seek the treasure, was what his message was.
It was close.
Oh, have you got...
You got the word don't right. So.
Yeah, do not.
Let's do not. Yeah.
Never jack off in a movie theatre. It's good advice, though.
Yeah, that's good advice. I believe Andy cannot win now. So last question, just to round it all out. Chris, who is the Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan at the meeting in Mississippi?
Oh, you've literally just said his name, haven't you? The governor who's the person who's trying to become governor. I don't fucking.
Yeah, Homer. I got. Yeah, Homer, exactly. Yes.
Homer, point.
Homer Stokes. All right, if Andy's getting that point, I'll give him a little mark there. We'll go to the tiebreaker if Andy gets.
Let's see if you win this because of that one point.
Right, Andy, this one to take us to a tiebreaker. What was Tommy riding in the water?
A seahorse.
It was not a seahorse.
It was a chest or drawers or
It was a roll-top desk, specifically, because I had the ring in it, or a ring in it, as we found out. The tiebreaker was going to be how many children does Everett have? That's what the tiebreaker was going to be.
3.
Chris would have won because it was 7. Because he knew he had 6, but I didn't know had met the 7th one. So the 7th one was also his. So a win for Chris, which I think is maybe not far off. I don't think it doesn't tie up exactly, but you're doing not too badly. On to point 6 then. Movies within movies. The references that I have kind of picked up on, but essentially read up on. The film Ulysses, obviously, because the Coen brothers said they'd never read the story, they'd just seen films on it. So the film Ulysses, which is this was based on, would be one of them. The Wizard of Oz, the Coen brothers admitted to just ripping off the Wizard of Oz for this film. For example, the KKK rally is literally what the guards in the Wizard of Oz do. The kind of the singing and the marching around with the hoods on and all that. Laughter in the Air was the film that was playing in the cinema. Cool Hand Luke, the devil policeman is pretty much lifted from Cool Hand Luke. And then the cabin at the end is literally based on the cabin from The Evil Dead, is the last reference I have. One of the Coens worked on The Evil Dead and wanted to have this similar looking cabin in it. What was never not good from this film? Quite difficult to nail it down, but I went with yodeling. Yodeling is never not good. I love that sort of yodeling, especially when it comes in a country song. Over to you then, Chris. You've already given us a little bit of a spoiler for what you're up to. So what have you got for us, movies within movies wise?
Well, the crazy bank robber. I knew I'd seen his face, but he played Matilda's dad in Leon.
The belter of a connection, that one. I found. He was Pointy Award nominated. Was Michael Badaluccio nominated for worst father of the Pointies?
Making back-to-back appearances, Ed Gale.
I know. My mind was blown when I read this.
He played Howard the Duck for people who haven't seen it. Well, one of the actors who played Howard Duck. So, like I said, go back and watch that banger of a movie. That's twice he popped up in this.
The guy called Little Man in the credits in this film was, in fact, Howard the back-to-back films.
I kind of just quickly went through a lot of people, but one of the clan members makes an uncredited appearance in Gone in 60 Seconds.
I did not know that. That's one you've got me beating on, Chris.
And there's probably something else then. If that's one I've got.
No, that's it. I only had the two you mentioned. So
right.
You've got me in that.
Whoever Nick was in Me, Myself, and Irene. And a fun fact for you: he and another uncredited actor both randomly played Tinky Winky in the Teletubbies. I was just scrolling through IMDb. And a Teletubby popped up, and I was like, "Oh, that's random." And I scrolled further down, another one popped up. I was like, "Okay, I need to look at this." Yes, and they both played Tinky Winky.
That's amazing. There you go. You would not expect to hear that. Cool. In terms of recasting, Chris?
Yeah, I spoiled it at the start, so I'm obviously Del Mar, the wee guy. Mm-hmm. I thought Bruce was Everett because, like you said, he's
the know-it-all who can't keep his mouth shut. Is what I read it. That's literally he's called that in the film. Like, right, well, I'm definitely Everett. The know-it-all who can't keep his mouth shut.
And there's Pete, the wild card.
The wild card was anger management issues. Yeah, that's Andy all over. So yeah, this absolutely fit perfectly. This film. Yeah. I don't have a reason for you being Delmar, Chris. I just have Delmar next to you.
That's the kind of faces I pull, you know.
It was last week when your video was breaking.
yeah, I saw that face for about half an hour last week. Yeah. And then Andy, have you recast anybody else in this film?
Right, I've recast this so it's bearably watchable for me. I'm going to take George Clooney out and put Batman in.
That's what I was thinking.
Can't you imagine that?
What a film that would be. Detective Batman trying to get his treasure.
Oh, yeah. It changes it. I'll say this.
Imagine fighting the KKK, like...
Batman versus the KKK.
It's whack.
Still have his nipple suit on as well. Oh, amazing.
I would think fighting Big Dan a bit more interesting.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. Having be Bane. Andy, we'll stick with you for 7. Andy's trigger warning.
Oh no!
You're not even giving the fans a warning anymore. Just.
Yep. No, yeah, they know what to expect. 0.7 trigger warning.
Right. Is chain gang? Should we still do chain gangs? That's my big question here. I feel like if you go to prison for being a bell end, you should just give back to society. Now, I know in America they do the whole they make license plates and they do certain things and all that. But then the problem is we pay them. These criminals get money and then they can buy drugs, they can put shit up their bums and get stuff smuggled in. It's all a bit weird. I feel like if you've done the crime, you do the time, do some fucking work.
Yeah, while you're there.
Yeah.
Why are we paying them? Why are these getting paid?
To get surely there's better to be joiners and decorators and all that who are in prison. Get a couple of police officers to watch them. They can build a house. Boom.
I don't know if I would get the local construction guy right. Got some cheap construction for you. I might have murdered a couple and raped a few people, but they're good at building.
I never said that. So, like, as long as they've got police officers watching them the whole time.
And they're going to be chained together the entire time as well. So only up a ladder 3 at a time.
Well, like, manufacturing-wise, we're missing a trick here. Like, get them in a warehouse. It's like a jail anyway.
I get them trying to do Xboxes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
A shortage of Xboxes right now. Get some criminals over there and start building. Like,
the inside kind of trading and dealing there would be in them though. There would just be so many be going missing. They'd be taking half of the stuff, building their own, selling it to someone else. It would be, it'd be amazing.
It's just I just feel like either there's 2 ways to do it. Yeah, either make them do work, so like they were doing in this film, they were building a road. That makes perfect sense. Or you just shoot the cunt. Now I know there'll be some kind of percentage issues where they didn't do the crime, and that's been happening a lot. But the percentage-wise, it's quite low, so it'd save us a fortune, really.
Could you imagine? This has just popped up in the news quite recently, I think. Is this guy been in jail for 6 years because he was falsely accused of rape? And he's finally free. If your idea was just shoot him, he just died for absolutely no reason.
Well, no. If that happens, their family gets some money. I've thought of this. It's okay.
It's okay.
But obviously, he must have been a bit shifty to get arrested anyway, so he's not completely innocent.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Exactly. Don't be shifty. You don't get put in jail. You don't get falsely accused. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what to say. I don't really have an answer to this. We are running short on time, I think. That's Andy's trigger warning for the week. All complaints can be made to podcast.com.
Directed it to Andrew.
Yeah, CC Andrew.
I bet you thought I was going to talk about the KKK.
No, I've covered it so often. There's not much more you can say on that one. On to point 8 then, the nominations for the 10-Point Podcast Awards at the end of the season. Do you want to go first, Chris, or do you want me to steal them all before you say them?
I'll go first because you probably got the same ones. My first was Best Facial Hairs, Everett. I think that's a new one.
I think that's a new award. Best Facial Hair. I've got that written
down. I've gone for Best Actor as George Clooney. I thought he was quite good in this.
Yeah, I think it had to be him, really. It was going to be him. I've mentioned Tim Blake Nelson because I've still got Best Supporting written down here. He's really good, but I'm not sure if we ever do Best Supporting anymore.
The guy behind you was kind of a close second. I thought he was quite good. Crazy eyes.
Stephen Root, I think the actor's name is. I could be wrong on that one.
My worst plan was it was a tie close between lying about the treasure or George Nelson's plan to continue robbing banks while the police are right behind him.
I mean, I believe his plan was just to get famous. So I think your first one might be the lying about treasure was a terrible idea.
All right, we'll go over that one then. My best fight is Everett versus Vernon. The little fisticuffs and him getting absolutely owned.
Yeah, like not even one lick did he get. Every single, he took every punch.
This could be controversial, but I've gone for best song is In the Jailhouse Now, because you could tell it was actually Tim Blake Nelson singing.
Actually, was him, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's fair. I would say it's worth a nomination. I think every song in this film is pretty much good.
I will concede to The Man of Constant Sorrow because that was the one it's famous for.
An absolute banger for me, so it was my nomination. I nominated that, and it's like, to me it had to be, like I say, it has to be in the top 5 songs that were made for a film ever. I think that song. I agree with Clooney. Best death, I've gone for Pete the Toad as best death.
I never thought of
that. And of course, best fight is Big Dan versus Del Mar, and Everett not realizing he's also in that same fight, so I've gone for that as best fight. Best cop, I've gone for the devil because I feel like he was pretty effective at tracking them down every single time. He might not have caught them, but he was good at tracking them down. But there wasn't really much else to nominate there. Best stunt, I've gone for George's getaway. The worst twist, I've gone for there not being any treasure in the end. Worst plan, I've gone for I'll get my revenge for my secret racist cult by admitting to everybody that I'm a secret racist. Was not the best plan. And best hair, I went for George Clooney, but you got best facial hair, so yeah, the whole ensemble for George Clooney.
I like it. I keep forgetting his little obsession with hair nets.
Yeah, the hair nets and the combing. So I think that's it for me. Andy, do you get any nominations?
Just got 2 for worst CGI. It's the cow behind me has unusually big ears.
It looked a bit funny compared to the other ones. Yeah.
So I'm going to go worst CGI is the cow. Worst green screen effect is when they fall off the train, because that just looked properly awful.
You mentioned it when he just gets in, you can see the sky behind them. There's just something wrong.
Yeah.
With So yeah, I'll agree with that as well. Yeah, but I enjoyed it.
Biggest bell end awards, George Clooney for just basically making them all escape for no reason at all, really.
Yeah,
he's a cunt there. That's the fourth cunt on this podcast.
Normally it's just 3.
There's 2 coming up at the end of this film. One for brothers.
And that's about it, really. I like the soundtrack, so I'll definitely nominate the soundtrack. I'll give it that.
I was looking for best. It's got. Yeah, we don't have a best soundtrack yet, but this may be built on that because I was thinking the same thing. Okay, on to point 9, the moral of the story. What lessons did the film try to teach us? We'll start with you, Chris. What's your moral of the story?
That was a bad idea. I haven't got one. I can't think.
All right,
think one.
Moral of the story.
Don't talk to me while I'm eating.
Very good.
Fuck, that's a good one.
My one, it said in the film, never trust a female, Everett said at one point.
That's good. That's good. The next one is just thing with the sirens here.
Like also, that comes up, I think, genuinely every second episode is some anti-woman sentiment.
That's completely accident.
I know, yeah, totally.
What do you think from a three white males doing a podcast? Of course it's going to be sexist as fuck.
Sexist, racist, all sorts. Right, Chris, what you some time? What have you thought?
Don't lie to your friends about money or something like that. I don't know. Don't lie to your friends. That'll do it.
On to point 10. The 10th point is the 10-point rating we rate the movie out of 10. It was my selection, so I get to go first. I often struggle to get through the film, like Howard the Duck. It killed me. I had to wait till the next day to watch it. This flew by, like absolutely zoomed by. Didn't feel like an hour and 3/4. So some hour and 3/4 is that we feel like going for days. This one flew past for me. Yeah, my personal opinion, my personal experience. I feel like everybody in the film is really fun to watch. Everybody plays the part so well that I enjoy every single person doing what they're doing, even from Pappy to like his boys to. I'm not going to say I enjoy KKK in as many words.
Say it. They always seem to be good in the films.
Yeah, funny. I enjoyed them, and even Holly Hunter being the kind of essentially horrible woman is actually quite enjoyable and funny as well. And then, as we mentioned throughout, the music is, I think, what lifts this to another level. Like, this is a really, really great film because how good the music actually is. And obviously, I enjoy the little references to Greek mythology. I don't necessarily know the poem, but I'm going to get a 9 out of 10. And I think I like it more than Fargo, and I gave Fargo a 9 as well. So I'm like, I'm giving it a 9. I really like this film. It is fun. Not often I like actual fun films, but I enjoy this one. Andy, what you next? Because you've seen
one shite.
Oh. But I didn't. Chris, what have you got as your 10-point rating? Andy hates films. So many films he gives a 1. 1, 1, 1, 5, 1, 6.
Garbage.
I wasn't prepared for that.
If the Coen brothers turned up dead tomorrow, I wouldn't mind. I'll probably have a wee flag out. It'd be alright. I'll give it a thumbs up on Facebook if Coen brothers reported dead. Yep, good film.
If you die tomorrow now, people are going to think you're behind it.
I don't really care. One less bad film I'm going to have to watch in the future.
Oh no, they'll all be coming out one after the other after that, if that happens.
So you've got one end so far. It's a 10-point movie at the moment. So.
I just found it quite boring, to be honest. I found it to be a lot of pointless scenes, like was mentioned, like the sitting around the fire or the scenes of them just walking and things
this
like that.
This is the hallmark of a 10 for Chris in a minute.
I didn't feel like there was any real payoff at the end because this, like, he obviously lied about the treasure. What happened to Pete and Delmar? I don't know if that was mentioned after the.
Yes, they survived.
The whole thing is this one big massive MacGuffin, and just for Everett to get back with his wife. So I can't give it any higher than a 4, I'm afraid.
4? I had a 5. I think that sounded like a 5 to me there. So that means that. So it does. Its final official score is somehow a 5. I don't know how the hell that's happened, but just narrowly a 5, I think, is what that gets. So I guess mid-table. I was looking back at the season 1, 2, and 3 tables, and if you get a 6 or better, you're top half. So a 5 to slow down. Officially rating for No Control Men. I knew I was going to say that. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a 5 out of 10. Do you have any guesses that aren't a KKK about what theme I'm going for with Jaws and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Can't think of anything about Greek mythology. I'm sure it was mentioned, didn't it? How was Jaws involved?
Is it Academy Award winning shit films?
Not that. I didn't.
Films that Andrew will hate.
No, I think you didn't mind Jaws, did you, Andy? I can't remember what your score was.
I like Jaws. It's all right.
No,
like I said, if there was nothing on screen, it was just music. So if I just listened to the album for half an hour, I'm with Bruce. Probably like a 7 or 8 for me.
Had you watched this with your eyes shut, would have got higher than a 1.
No, because I only get like 30 seconds of a fucking song I'm enjoying.
Good point. So still no guesses for the themes.
Has anyone actually been close to it? I can't remember what we've guessed.
Like anyone has, no. I can't remember what you guessed after Jaws, but it's quite hard after one film. To be honest.
I guessed things that are bigger than normal. Like George was a bigger shark than normal sharks.
No. And John Goodman.
This film is bigger than normal.
Well, I know. This film never came out then.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I believe none of you are close yet. I don't think. I'm not sure what I'm doing next, so it might be quite a hard one. But after that, it should be easy. Oh, anyway, on to next time. And as we decided or confirmed beforehand, it is Andy's pick next. He said he had a lot to pick from. Yeah. So what have you got for us?
I've got so many. So I had so much choice. Chris fucked one of them because it's very Howard the Duck, and I thought, well, fucking hell, better not. And then I decided I've watched 2 shit films in a row, so why not make it 3?
You do that every time. I think you've said that at least twice on the podcast before.
But I really enjoy this film. It's a proper banger from my childhood. We're going to be bringing an old feature back just for this film, specifically. It is the 1993 action sci-fi film Demolition Man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very good. This has been on my I should have seen it, however not seen it list for a while.
This is on my list, actually. Not for this season, but it's been on my list for a while.
I'm bringing my shit category back.
You're right. Okay. Yes, of course.
We're going to be discussing some shits.
And we'll be discussing a lot of Wesley Snipes, I would imagine, as well. It's in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. There we are. Demolition Man. Everybody, you have 7 days. I thought Andy was going to say something here, but I don't think he was.
Nah.
He was. You all have 7 days to find Demolition Man. Give it a watch, and we'll welcome you back, I guess, next time on the 10 Point Podcast.